Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating transformation in the cybersecurity space. We're looking at the evolution of Kjer, and specifically, we're tracing its massive leap from this local single machine utility to a complete fleet-wide cloud orchestration platform with version 1.b. If you manage mixed fleets of devices, or if you're constantly worrying about security compliance but just don't have a massive enterprise budget, well, this is absolutely crucial to understand. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with Section 1, the security fragmentation problem. Then 2, shift to fleet-wide orchestration. 3, the cloud command center. 4, defense-boosted compliance scoring. And finally, 5, buying outcomes, annual pricing. All right, Section 1, the security fragmentation problem. Why SMBs and IT leaders are overwhelmed. To really grasp why Kjer version 1.b is such a game changer, we have to talk about the massive pain points lean IT teams and fractional CSISOs face every single day. And what's really interesting about this 3.5 million figure is how it proves a fundamental reality. That's the number of unfilled cybersecurity roles globally. There simply aren't enough human experts to manually secure every device out there. We literally cannot hire our way out of this problem. It proves there is a desperate, urgent need for automation over manual labor. And compounding that massive labor shortage is sheer tool sprawl. Most IT leaders are drowning in over 50 fragmented point solutions that just do not talk to each other. It's a complete digital headache. You've got platform chaos across Linux, Windows, and Mac devices, all requiring totally different security stacks. And here is where we find this dangerous gap. On one hand, you have basic consumer antivirus, which completely lacks proper system hardening and compliance tracking. And then on the other end, you have enterprise EDR, endpoint detection and response. Now that's incredibly powerful, but at $8 to $15 per endpoint per month, plus the need for a dedicated security operations center to run it, that's total overkill for a small business. So this creates a massive missing middle, where millions of devices are left dangerously underprotected, just because the right tools are either too disjointed or far too expensive. So how do we solve this? Well, keep this exact quote from the source material in mind. Docker orchestrates containers, Kjer orchestrates security tools. I love that. It instantly builds a perfect mental model for what we're talking about. Kjer isn't trying to invent yet another antivirus engine. Instead, it acts as a host-aware dependency handler. It brings order to the chaos by curating and orchestrating over 40 best-of-breed, open-source, and commercial security utilities, tools like Nmap, Linux, and OS Query, bringing the whole shebang under one unified framework. Moving on to Section 2, shift to fleet-wide orchestration, the paradigm shift of version 1.b. Let's look at how this platform has truly grown up. This architectural leap is powered by a strictly sequenced pipeline under the hood. First, Kjer automatically detects the host operating system, whether it's an Ubuntu server, a Windows PC, or a MacBook. Then, it installs the correct tool packages, scans for vulnerabilities, hardens the system against attacks, audits for compliance, and finally, generates a report. This brilliantly illustrates how Kjer handles all those messy dependencies automatically. These workflows run the exact same way across every single machine in a mixed OS fleet. Now, if you compare the old version 1.0 to the new version 1b, the contrast is night and day. Version 1.0 was a local orchestrator, meaning you had to sit in front of one machine at a time and manually run the scan and defend processes. Version 1b keeps all that awesome machine-level power, but it lifts it to a fleet scale. It adds whole organization discovery, finding devices across every network segment, and it allows for remote scanning, hardening, and updating. You never have to manually babysit the individual machines again. Which brings us to Section 3, the Cloud Command Center. CrowdStrike-grade visibility for everyone else. This command center is essentially your new daily front door. It brings this entire orchestration layer to life right inside your browser. It performs multi-LAN and VLAN discovery so absolutely no machine hides in the shadows. It uses auto-enrollment IDs so remote devices can install and instantly register themselves to your organization. It even includes a really clever watchdog feature for passively monitoring untrusted public Wi-Fi networks. And hey, for privacy during demos or screen shares, there's a secure view toggle that blurs out IP and MAC addresses. But what's truly incredible here is that Kjer Cloud uses live-only telemetry, no demo data, to command these remote agents. It queues up scans and updates in the cloud, the local agent executes them, and then it syncs the real, actual posture back up to the cloud. The crucial point is summarized perfectly by this philosophy from their strategy. You're not selling software, you're selling visibility. Operators don't want to manage scripts all day. They want a single, unified pane of glass for threats, updates, and compliance across all their assets simultaneously. All right, Section 4, Defense-Boosted Compliance Scoring, turning abstract actions into concrete audits. This is a super unique way to handle governance, risk, and compliance. Kjer totally flips how we handle governance by using a defense-boosted scoring model directly from its command center. So if you just install a required security tool, you earn a baseline of up to 70% credit for that specific compliance control. Pretty good, right? But when you actually push the button to run an active defense script on that tool, meaning you are actively hardening the system, your compliance score is boosted to a perfect 100% for that control. It rewards active hardening, not just passive check-the-box installations. And this translates directly into live readiness scores for major frameworks like SOC 2, HIPAA, PCI DSS version 4.0, and NIST. As tools are installed and run, Kjer automatically maps them to the correct framework controls for you. When you look in the dashboard, you just look for these literal shield badges. Seeing those tells you a control is fully defended. You can finally say goodbye to tedious manual spreadsheet tracking. With literally one click, you can instantly export HTML, Markdown, or JSON reports. That means a super lean IT team can be audit-ready in minutes instead of months. Okay, Section 5. Buying outcomes, annual pricing, replacing legacy device-centric billing. Let's move to and see how this builds, because we're looking at a complete overhaul of the business model here. This entire pricing shift is anchored deeply in this exact quote from the source material. People don't buy devices. Businesses buy outcomes. Think about traditional tools. They charge you every single month for every single device. So as your company grows and succeeds, you get penalized with higher and higher monthly bills. Thankfully, Kjer has eliminated those monthly per-device fees entirely. Instead, they have laid out these really straightforward, canonical, flat annual pricing tiers based roughly on your organization's endpoint count. The solo tier is just $99 a year for up to 25 endpoints. But the absolute sweet spot for most businesses is the team tier. At $399 a year, it covers an organization for up to 100 endpoints. And crucially, it includes the full Kjer Cloud sync, scheduled scans, and all those compliance dashboards we just talked about. From there, it scales up to $899 a year for the scale tier at 500 endpoints. Then it moves into negotiated pricing for massive enterprise deployments starting from $2,500 a year and dedicated managed service provider packages starting from $1,800 a year. Because they are selling orchestration and visibility and not some heavy remote desktop or complex ticketing system, they are structurally cheaper to deliver, and they pass those savings right onto the user as a flat annual rate. And if you are a managed service provider or MSP, the value proposition here is absolutely massive. The strategy for MSPs is simple. Sell seats, not licenses. For a base starting from around $1,800 a year, an MSP gets a multi-org console with strict tenant isolation. Then they can just add additional managed org bundles for a few $100s more. This is huge because it means an MSP can scale their own recurring revenue across dozens or even hundreds of client organizations. They can manage all of their clients' remote scans, hardening, and updates from one single login without having to build any of that heavy infrastructure themselves. So, bringing it all together, the leap to version 1.b takes what was already a powerful local Swiss Army knife and transforms it into a true fleet-wide control plane. It's affordable, it's incredibly structured, and it directly tackles the sheer fragmentation that is holding back lean IT teams today. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought straight from the source material. Every device deserves a security operator. With this kind of orchestration and automation, that is finally possible. So, is your fleet ready for the cloud?